Ciao, facciamo l'ossobuco dai Zenis di Zintra.
Whatever will I cook today? Hi, my name is Zintra, and today I will be making ossobuco. We start with veal shank. Make sure when you do get the meat, you cut off this little skin because that part really will not cook that much and it's going to be really hard to chew. So just take a nice little bit of the skin right here and here and just follow through. Be careful because these little knives are sharp. And then what we're going to do, we're going to mix 1/4 cup of flour with 1 teaspoon salt and 1 teaspoon pepper. Then we're going to heat up some olive oil. Nice and hot. We're going to sear the veal in the olive oil. Then we're going to add a whole bunch of vegetables, some broth, and all kinds of goodies. It's going to cook together, some wine as well. And then in the end, it's going to make a rich savory sauce. Here is the flour. All I do is add the teaspoon of salt. Sprinkle that right in there. I take a teaspoon of the white pepper today. You could use dark pepper if you want, but I like the white because it's just a little more delicate in flavor. And I take a little spoon, and that's it. I take the meat, place it gently like this, just to give a little bit of a coating because that's going to make a delicious crust when we sear it. So I take this, make it nice and warm, and I take about a tablespoon of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Just let it warm in there, and once it starts smoking just a little bit, then we can put the meat in to sear it. Oil is starting to smoke just a little bit. This is when you want to put the meat in. And make sure your temperature is up pretty high because as you add more pieces of meat in it, the temperature of the pan is going to cool down. Ooh, look at that color. That is beautiful, beautiful color. That's exactly the color you want. You don't want to get darker than that because that's going to make the meat just a little bit too tough around the edges. You don't want that. We're going to take the meat out of the pan. In the same pan, we're going to add just a little smidgen of olive oil. Then in that, we're going to put our aromatic garnish, which means 1 onion, 1 stalk of celery, 1 carrot. Then we add in some garlic. We don't put garlic in the beginning because if that burns, it's going to release a really, really bitter flavor, and we don't want that at all. No. So, garlic last. And just before it's all perfectly yum together, we add some parsley. Parsley's going to add nice freshness to the sauce. Then we do what we call deglaze. It's going to be fairly dry, so you want to add some liquid. We put in a cup of wine, and you're going to see. We're going to add our bouquet garni, which means it's an assortment of Italian or Mediterranean garden herbs that I just tie up with this little twine. Now, the bouquet garni is made up of my garden aromatics. Here we have rosemary, we have oregano, we have bay leaf, we have savory, and we have thyme. Nice and brown, juicy, delicious. We're going to take it out of the pan with our aromatic garnish. In go the onions. Stir that up in there. 1 stalk of celery. Go the carrots. And look at the beautiful colors. Isn't that nice? Beautiful colors. Cook this for just about 5 to 10 minutes. It's been cooking for 7 minutes. In goes the garlic. Here I have 4 cloves of garlic. Beautiful. Bring on the temperature to high, and we're going to let all that wine evaporate the alcohol, yet leaving in a little bit of that nice flavor. And remember also the wine, it's going to tenderize the meat, so it's going to make it even more juicy and delicious and fall apart yummy. It's about 5 minutes later, and now in goes the bouquet garni. Divine. Just put that in there. And then in go the tomatoes. Yum, delicious. Bring that to a nice simmer. Add some fresh parsley. Those colors, isn't that gorgeous? Last but not least, a whole quart of beef stock. It looks like there's a lot of liquid in there, but don't worry, we want to immerse the veal inside the sauce so it really cooks it nice and tender. What we have to do is let this boil, put the meat back in, and then we're going to just pop it in the oven for, let's say, 2 or 3 hours. Now the mixture is boiling, and you see all that kind of foam that's on top? That stuff we want to take off. because we want to make sure that our sauce is nice and clear and absolutely beautiful. In goes the meat. And just kind of push it right in there. Yum, yum, yum. Look at all that. Oh. And look at the marrow. This is the marrow in the middle. It's getting nice and soft, and when it cooks, it's going to be absolutely delicious. The French, what they do, sometimes they take the marrow, they scoop it out, and they eat it with some coarse salt and a little bit of bread, country bread. Oh, delicious. And in the oven it goes for about 2-3 hours. The oven is at 350 degrees, and that is just going to let all the heat and flavors cook together. Cooking for 2 hours. Let's see if it's done. That's not ossobuco. I think we need to cook it a little bit longer. Oh, it's heavy, heavy, heavy. Oh, now this is the ossobuco I love. Now what we're gonna do, all these bones are kind of separated a little bit from the meat. It's nice and tender. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. All these bits of tomato and carrots. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring the broth up to a high temperature and let that reduce. Look at that. Imagine that poured over the potatoes and the pasta. Oh man, that is going to be delicious. Oh, see the bone marrow nice and soft? I'm gonna let the sauce reduce so it starts to get nice and thick. I'm gonna add a little bit of orange zest. I'm gonna add a little bit of lemon zest and a little more parsley. This is what gives ossobuco that very distinct flavor. Then again, if you don't like too much lemon in there or orange, just modify it. Here I'm just using 1 teaspoon of each. Oh, it smells so nice. So nice. This has been boiling for about 20 minutes. Getting nice and thick. There's a lot of the fluids that have evaporated. And see all those nice little chunks in there? All those nice little veggies. We want to keep all those because they have so much flavor. And look at this. That's the bouquet garni. Look at all that. It's cooked through. It's released bunches and bunches of flavor. You see all that steam coming out? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the pieces of meat. Let's try to keep them in individual pieces like this. Just plop them in there. Minutes or so just to make sure that it's nice heated through and the flavor is really packed. Beautiful green colors, nice and vibrant and fresh. If you want, you could serve this also with some nice crusty Italian bread or French baguette. Absolutely amazing. Beautiful. So another 5 minutes, let it cook down a tiny bit more, and then we'll plate. I'm going to take a nice piece of the meat.
Lasciatemi cantare, sono un'italiana. Buongiorno Italia, gli spaghetti al dente, un partigiano come presidente, con l'autoradio sempre nella mano destra, un canarino sopra la finestra. Buongiorno Italia con i tuoi artisti, contro America sui manifesti, con le canzoni, con amore, con il cuore, con Piodone, sempre meno sole. Buongiorno Italia, buongiorno Maria, con gli occhi pieni di malinconia. Buongiorno Dio, lo sai che ci sono anch'io. Lasciatemi cantare con la chitarra in mano, lasciatemi cantare una canzone piano piano, lasciatemi cantare perché ne sono fiera, sono un'italiana vera. Buongiorno Italia che non si spaventa e con la crema da barba lamenta. vita con un vestito gessato.